We do. Thank you. Good evening. I would like to call the June 6th, 2022 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone read the minutes of the May 2nd, 2022 meeting? Okay. Are there any corrections beyond the ones we've already stated? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Very good. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett? I wasn't here. I'm going to abstain. Mr. Beck?
Abstain for the same reason.
Mr. Natale?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanley?
Yes to the motion. I think we still have a majority, so we're good on that one. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact, that is, no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Luckett. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett? Yes to the motion. Mr. Beck?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Natale?
Yes to the motion.
And Mr. Stanley?
Yes to the motion. We have proof that all items on tonight's agenda have been advertised as directed by law. Next, I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to the public input and provide additional information. Board members will again have the opportunity to question the applicant. The board will openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. Please note this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of cases outside of this meeting. And finally, a motion will be made either approving or denying the requested variance, seconded and voted upon. Our first case tonight is an application for 8301 Duckwood Drive. The applicant and owner is Trevor Carpenter. Mr. Carpenter, if you'd please approach the podium and describe your project for us.
Sure. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Hopefully I'm not the only reason you're here. I apologize. I saved you a lot of time. Tell you that Gary stopped by a little while ago and said my request is not unreasonable. So if you just want to go ahead and do it. So what I'm proposing is the construction of a new 6-foot-high solid privacy fence, cedar fence, around my property at 8301 Duckwood Drive. It would be built by the Butler Fence Company, and although the fence would extend past the current build line, it would not would stay within the western on the western side. It will stay within the Onondaga County Water Authority easement. On the northern side, it will stay inside the drainage easement. I provided copies of the quote from Butler Fence Company. I provided the updated survey that has the proposal for the fence build as well. The main reason for the variance is our 9-year-old daughter, Grace. She's been diagnosed with a multitude of growth, learning, and cognitive disorders, some of which are Tourette's syndrome, which causes uncontrollable screaming at certain points, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, chorea, which is kind of like a muscle spasm, shaking of hands and legs like that. And what's called global development delay, which puts her very far behind milestones for kids her age. So she's 9 years old. She cannot read. She cannot write. She doesn't understand the dangers of the traffic, strangers, those types of dangers. So that's our main reason. She often gets overwhelmed with stimulus to the point where, you know, if we're walking around the neighborhood, our neighbors will see us, she'll shut down and just stop. She won't go any farther. Or to the point where she's so hyperactive that she does scream. It's just I don't want to say a blood curdling scream, but she just screams out loud. We're used to it. The neighbors that can all attest to probably hearing that as we walk around the neighborhood sometimes. So this fence, they're called privacy fences, 6 feet high, but in my mind, it's more of a protection fence for her. I want to try to build a safe place without a lot of distractions for her in the backyard to play. And we have a very highly trafficked road right here. We're right by the CNS High School, so there's lots of walkers, families, dogs, kids cutting through from the high school. And it's never a problem with the kids cutting through from the high school, but there's a lot of traffic there and overstimulus. So that's the main reason. A less important reason is our new puppy. We want to keep him contained from going into neighbors' yards or out into the street, or, you know, chasing other dogs and just causing disturbances in the neighborhood. So those are the main reasons. Again, Grace is our one major factor here. Again, I realize it's outside of the build line, and the proposal is for 6 feet high. It's meant to keep her safe. Something she can't climb over, something that she can't be pulled over. And you know, from the view here, that's where the end of the red line is where the fence would extend to. It doesn't impede the intersection. As you can see, my vehicle's parked there at that location all the time anyway, so the fence wouldn't even extend past where my vehicle is to obstruct the intersection. Gary can attest to that when he stopped by earlier. Are there any questions?
Yeah, how far is it from the orange, you got orange stakes set up right now, from the stakes to the edge of the pavement? Did you take
29
that
feet.
29 feet to edge of pavement? Okay.
So the build line is about 3 feet off. We're coming
Okay.
off the back of the garage there. It's
Yeah.
about, the build line is about 3 feet off. We
Okay.
want to come out 23 feet.
Okay.
24 feet is the Onondaga County water easement. So we want to stay a foot inside that. It's another 29 feet from the end of the fence to the road.
To the road.
So it's more than double, not more than double, but it's more than the length of the fence to get to the road.
How long have you guys been in the house for?
August 12th of last year.
Last year.
Yep, we just moved in August.
Just some observations from being out on site. So, you know, Duckwood and of course, I forget the other one already, Owlwood, they intersect in a T. My observation is that's an always stop. So that also draws down some of the importance of having a lot of sight distance there. Not saying this would impact anything because it is set pretty far back.
Yeah, I hit it from both directions, and I didn't, you know, if the orange stakes are where the fence line is, I didn't particularly see any safety issue.
And of course, you are, you know, one of the benefits of having a corner lot is sometimes they're a little bit bigger, but also you have 2 front yards, which is why you're in front of us right now, even though that is your side yard. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? At this time, I will close the public hearing. The board have any other questions? Okay. Would someone like to discuss the 5 factors and make a motion?
I can do it if you want me to.
Completely up to
Wanna do
you.
it?
Nope, be my guest.
That'd be awesome.
So before I make a motion, I want to talk about the 5 factors. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. I said no. A 6-foot solid fencing is common for backyards in this residential neighborhood. your property's a corner lot, so you have two front yards, but fence sits back from the street and Butler fence provides a good quality fence. So I said, no detriment to the neighborhood. Agreed, disagreed?
I was waiting for, I
Oh,
was going to wait for Mrs. Robison to catch up with us.
Mr. Rabia?
I agree. I think one thing we didn't talk about was, I think the PUD has some special requirements for fencing, right?
Yeah, on a
restrictive
case
than
by
the 6
case
feet.
basis, right? The PUD would, it's actually written into it, isn't it?
Well, the PUD was used for the subdivision many years ago. I'm not sure what all the requirements were. I would imagine it was because there are some townhomes in the subdivision as well. So it has a mixed use of some multiple residential and single family use. There was nothing that I'm aware of in the PUD that said, well, you're allowed to have a fence in the required front yard. So the fencing regulations stand on their own there.
Okay. I think the application said 4 foot.
That's the zoning ordinance.
Is that
So anything that's in the front yard can
Yeah,
be 4
front
foot
yard?
high.
I'm sorry. I 2
Percent.
front yards. I'm sorry. I missed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Mr. Bennett.
I agree.
Mr. Natale.
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Number 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I said no. The applicant wishes to enclose their yard to provide a safe play space for his handicapped child. A 4-foot picket fence would not provide sufficient protection for this family.
Mr. Rabia.
I agree.
Mr. Bennett.
I agree.
Mr. Natale.
I agree.
And Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. I said yes. For me, I think the extent to which the views are obstructed is really the factor we need to weigh. I'd say that a 6-foot fence along Alwood Drive is 72 feet. The length of the property line is 125 feet. So that's 57% obstructed, which is substantial, but that's not a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mr. Bennett.
I agree.
Mr. Natale.
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree, and I would add that there's other requests that could have been made for the extent of this fence that would have been much more impactful. So I appreciate that the applicant actually tried to minimize impacts here.
Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I said no. Since the fence starts behind the garage, it's far enough into the property that it will not restrict any views from oncoming vehicles or pedestrians from the street. And it's also kept out of the drainage easements.
Mr. Rabia.
I agree.
Mr. Bennett.
I agree.
Mr. Natale.
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree, and I would also add that the all stop condition is also a mitigating factor here. You're not going to have a vehicle trying to drive right through the intersection. They are forced to stop. So that just improves the sight distance aspect of it.
And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Yes, the applicant is choosing to construct a non-conforming fence, but it's not necessarily a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia.
I agree.
Mr. Bennett.
Sort of agree.
Would you like to?
Well, the challenges he has with his daughter are an act of God, if you want to call it that. And in order to do what's right for his family, he has to do this. It is self-created, but it's also appropriate. He's doing the right thing. So that's why I say sort of.
Mr.
That's a good
Natale.
description of that.
It was a tough one, Chuck.
Mr. Natale.
I agree.
And Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
You ready? So I make a motion to approve an area variance where the applicant is seeking to construct a solid 6-foot high fence in the required front yard of 8301 Duckwood Drive where a fence no higher than 4 foot and no more than 50% opaque is allowed.
Can we, before we second that, can we append the date and the title of the drawing to that? So as the fence as shown,
An area variance as where the applicant is seeking to construct a solid 6-foot high fence, Shepherd's Drive, as shown on.
so we've got, well, I've got it right here.
4/18/22?
418.
Yes. Yeah, on the survey map dated 4/18/2022.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Natale.
Mr. Rabia?
Yes, the motion.
Ms. Luckett?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Beck?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Natale?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanley?
Yes to the motion. Congratulations, motion is passed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. So our next meeting is scheduled for July 11th, 2022. Is there any other business that anyone has before the board? Okay, there being no such business before this board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
By Mr. Rabia, second.
Second.
By Mr. Bick, all in favor?
Aye.
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 The ayes have it, meeting adjourned.